Adrian Ramsey, the co-leader of the Greens, has come out against the government lifting the inheritance tax exemption for farmers. Politics Home quoted his interview with House magazine. Green Party co-leader Adrian Ramsey said the government was right to identify that the loophole that enables very wealthy people to put money into farmland as a way of avoiding taxes being exploited, and that the loophole needs to be addressed. It's not good for real farmers if land is being bought up by people who are not interested in farming and are just using it to avoid paying tax. But he added the government needs to have another look at what it's got planned, and be able to make a clear distinction between people who are speculating in buying land and actual family firms. How many actual family farms have land, not property worth over £1 million or 100 football pitches worth of land is very questionable, to say the least. I really think that Adrian Ramsey with that one is barking up the wrong tree. We're really not talking about the most poverty-stricken people in farming here, right? That's the people who are doing the work, as we were just saying. I have more sympathy with Ramsey's second point, though, as he went on to say that farmers in Waveney Valley are telling him that they want to be able to more easily access funding for nature-friendly farming. However, the government said it would maintain, not increase, the $2.4 billion annual budget for farm payments, which reimburse farmers for making nature-friendly changes to their farms. While the Green co-leader said this effective reduction of funding for nature-friendly farming did not get that much attention following the budget, the big national environmental charities have highlighted that there needs to be a significant increase in more than doubling of the nature-friendly farming budget. He said he is really keen to push that. On this second point, I feel like he's got more of a case, as that is effectively a cut to rewilding budgets, which are a measure that we could really use more of in this country. We could really use more general rewilding. What do you think of his criticisms here, Curtis?
I'll start with the second point. Of course, I do agree. It kind of follows on from what we were discussing before, that a lot of these subsidies go to the landowners, and we need to make sure it's targeted to go to go to those who are doing the work and maintain the infrastructure there. So yeah, I obviously agree with that. It looks like that is a cut to the subsidy. However, I think that was a terrible answer in the first part. Look, I vote for the Green Party at the general election. I implored everyone to do so. I still will. But I'm very disappointed with Adrian Ramsey. This isn't his first rodeo. You'll remember that he came out against Labour's plans to build pylons because it went through his constituency. And he said, well, we need to redraw up plans. We need to look at, how can we do this a bit more. He said it was, damaging the environment. Really, he understands that this is his seat is a very Tory-held seat, and he won it. And he wants to keep his Conservative voters happy. And I'm sorry to say, but that is the case. As we've just pointed out at the beginning of the show, that these cutting inheritance tax does not hit poor farmers. And I think he knows this, because if we were to talk about income tax or any other form of taxation that wasn't to do with rural areas, I don't think Adrian Ramsey would be like, oh, maybe we should look into this a bit more. And they'd be like, no, we should increase our taxation. But suddenly, it's going to hit those in his own constituency and those who voted for him. He is essentially thrown his principles out the window. And he's acting like a Green Tory, I'm sorry to say. I think he has been a discredit to the Green Party, so much so that I think he shouldn't be the deputy leader. I mean, the Labour Party has kicked out class politics, right? The last time we saw any semblance of class politics was with Jeremy Corbyn. A lot of people were excited, and I was too. Finally, class politics was back on the agenda. That's now in its little box. And the Green Party has taken up that mantle. I've been extremely impressed by Zach Polansky. Sorry, I called Adrian Ramsey deputy. He's the co-leader. Zach Polansky's the deputy. I've been extremely impressed with Zach Polansky because he's talked about the things that we really care about in a very coherent way. The message is, look, we care about workers, we care about class. The Labour Party doesn't. Now, what does it say to the Green Party's message that you've got the co-leader saying, actually, I'm siding with wealthy farmers? And I think he should be questioning whether he's in the right party. Now, that doesn't mean I think he is exactly like a Tory where he hates the poor or anything like that. I think, he would be a much better politician than many other politicians. I absolutely believe that. And he would be very good on public ownership. I think he would be very good on, well, he would be very good on the environment. I absolutely believe that. However, just as I was saying at the beginning of the show, I think unearned income is more important than income tax. There is so much unearned wealth out there, and we could do so many things if we were to tax wealth. The Green Party has been calling for a wealth tax over and over again. Good, fantastic policy. But you have the co-leader essentially saying, actually, we don't want to tax this wealth, though. It sends a really poor message. I think he's just simply, okay, he has to represent his constituencies, fine, but you also have to have your own principles. That's why we have political parties. And I think he's actually putting the essentially rich farmers in his own constituency over the party and over the country. Yeah, I like that he said there should be increases of subsidies, because that's not really a toxic thing to say to farmers as well. Because no farmer on the march, or no rich farm owner is going to oppose subsidies, even if it was mostly to go to the farmers themselves. That's not going to hurt them. But what really gets down to it, the brass tack, shall I say, literally is the tax. And Adrian Ramsey doesn't want to stand up and say, no, we should be ending the tax break. So yeah, really, really disappointed with Adrian Ramsey here. And it's not the first time. It's really not the first time. And I think, I don't know, I think there should be some questions about whether he's in the right position or not. Because I want the Green Party to succeed so much. I think they are the only viable alternative to the duopoly. Well, it's not really a duopoly. I suppose you've got the Lib Dems and Reform, but the Greens are the only viable opposition, I think, when it comes to the left. I don't want it being spoiled by someone like Adrian Ramsey. He won't even essentially support wealth taxes. I mean, I know he said it, but when it comes down to an actual policy, his first instance, he's not calling an increase in wealth taxes. It's not a good look.
Yeah, I've got some sympathy with him, because I know Waveney Valley, where he is farmer central. If he doesn't play to his base a little bit, he's got to be. However, it does, unfortunately, with this and the pylon story, it does seem like he's unfortunately, coming out and supporting things which are actually hindering the good things that the Labour Party are doing. And you don't want him to be like criticising Labour just for the sake of criticising Labour. I want him to be criticising the way that I have seen him do, but it's kind of not the stuff that has made the headlines. I want to see him criticising Labour on the stuff that's like, like the rewilding stuff. That's good. I want that to be the headline. I want that to be all he says about it. He doesn't have to support the protests. He goes, well, he could have turned it around and gone, well, I can understand where those farmers are coming from. If they want to go and protest, that's their right. I just wish they would give that same right to the Just Stop Oil protesters, because the climate crisis is an emergency. But also, I think there's more pressing matters. For example, the fact that we've underfunded rewilding. Our connections to the European agricultural policy have been lost. Like, so many things that we could be doing that will actually help farmers, not the people who own farmland, two distinct groups. But he could have played into all that.
But I mean, I also wonder though, like, is it an attack because of the inheritance tax? Like, he's brought up the point about subsidies, but has he looked for a reason to not support the bill to make him sound that he's not right wing, or he's simply against this because of the increased inheritance tax? Right? Has he just like, does he actually care about the subsidy? I'm sure maybe he does, but I feel like that was a reason, kind of an excuse to say, "Oh, I don't think I can support this bill because Labour haven't done enough on this." It feels like he's playing politics here. Now, in terms of the pylons, I mean, there was no excuse for that, because the Green Party, that they are called the Green Party, and the biggest existential threat to humanity is climate change. And essentially, he was against these pylons. Let's be honest, if we're going to read between the lines, because his constituency probably thought they were ugly, and they wouldn't be happy with him if they were to build these massive pylons in the area. But I'm sorry, but there comes a point where you have to stand with your principles. I understand compromise is key. I understand that you want to win votes. But if it's two key areas, I think these are two key areas which the Green Party are strong on: wealth tax and the environment, and you're equivocating on that, then that to me says should you really be an MP representing the Green Party? I don't know.
Support independent media, support social justice that's there on social media. Thank you. Turn left.